Hey there, lion cats and kittens. It's Miss Hillary, and today I want to read you a story about fear and bravery. But before we read the story, let's talk about those feelings a little bit. Can you remind me, what does it mean to be brave? Being brave means feeling afraid and doing the next right thing anyway. Bravery can only happen when you're afraid, when there's something to be afraid of. But when you do what you need to do, even though you feel scared, that's how you can be brave. Now, what does it feel like to feel scared? What do you feel in your body? I know for me, when I'm scared, my heart might start racing, or I might shake, or I might become cold and sweaty. For some people, when they get afraid, they get angry and they want to fight. For some people, they freeze and can't move. For some people, they want to run away. Fear can feel like a lot of different things. But fear is always an opportunity for bravery. When we feel those feelings inside of us, we can stop and look at them and say, you don't control me. I believe in myself, and you can conquer your fears. And today we are going to read a story all about a boy who conquered his fear. This is a story about Nachshon, who was afraid to swim. Now, Nachshon lived in Egypt in the same time as Moses. And Moses is in this story. Nachshon was a slave in Egypt. He was one of the slaves that Moses helped lead to freedom in this Passover story. So, without further ado, we will read Nachshon, Who Was Afraid to Swim, a Passover Story by Deborah Bowden Cohen, illustrated by Jago. In the days when Pharaoh ruled and the pyramids cast their shadows over Egypt, there lived an Israelite slave named Nachshon. Nachshon's parents, grandparents, and even his great-grandparents had lived as slaves. But Nachshon knew that long ago his family had once been free, and he dreamed about freedom every night. From dawn to dusk, under the midday rays of the desert sun, Nachshon's father and brothers labored in the quarries, making straw and mud into bricks. Nachshon slipped past the taskmasters and smuggled in cool drinking water for them. Neither the Egyptian taskmasters nor the Pharaoh himself scared the young boy, so his family began calling him Brave Nachshon. When Pharaoh and his royal couriers arrived in the city market, most slaves fled in fear, but not Nachshon. He trailed behind and spied on them. Whatever Nachshon learned, he reported to the Israelite elders. Soon everyone began calling him Brave Nachshon. See, here he is spying. And that could get him into a lot of trouble. So he had to be very brave. Nachshon, though, had one fear. In the evening, when most slaves took a cool swim in the river Nile, Nachshon stood anxiously on the river's edge. He put his toes in the water and trembled. Some days, he imagined a giant crocodile grabbing his legs. Other days, he pictured himself sinking slowly in the river's bottom, as though bricks were tied to his ankles. The other slaves began calling him Brave Nachshon, who was afraid to swim. When Nachshon grew old enough, the taskmasters demanded that he join his father and brother in the quarries. Each day was long, dull, and dusty. The years passed slowly. As much as he dreamed of freedom, Nachshon feared that he would always be a slave. Show me your connections if you've ever been afraid of something. I know I sure have. Just when Nachshon began to give up hope, a stranger arrived, promising freedom for the Israelites. News of the visitor spread like a sandstorm. Nachshon ran to the riverbank to join the crowd waiting to hear him speak. "His name is Moses," whispered a fellow slave. "He says he's an Israelite, but was raised in the royal palace until Pharaoh learned his true identity. Then he ran away. He says that God has sent him back to Egypt to demand our freedom." This is Moses up here, and Nachshon running to hear him speak and give him new hope. Nachshon's heart leapt at the sight. Moses' face glowed like the sun, and his eyes glistened like stars. He held a sapphire blue shepherd's staff carved in the shape of a serpent. Though he spoke haltingly, his message was clear. "You must have faith that freedom is possible," Moses proclaimed, holding his staff towards the heavens. "Real freedom means trusting in God. Real freedom means believing in yourself." Let's read that again. Real freedom means trusting in God. Real freedom means believing in yourself. That evening, their hope renewed, the Israelite slaves played in the cool waters of the river Nile. "Brave Nachshon, come with us," called his friends. "Come celebrate with us." Even today, with the possibility of freedom, are you still afraid to swim? Moses saw Nachshon hesitate. He walked over, bent down, and whispered into the boy's ear. "Real freedom means facing your fears and overcoming them." Nachshon looked at the river and repeated Moses' words to himself. Real freedom means facing your fears and overcoming them. Will you repeat that with me, Lions? Real freedom means facing your fears and overcoming them. Real freedom means facing your fears and overcoming them. It took all of Nachshon's courage just to dangle his legs into the current and splash some water on his body. Real freedom means facing your fears and overcoming them. The next morning, Moses approached Pharaoh and demanded freedom for the Israelites. Pharaoh's heart was hard. He not only rejected the plea, but he made the Israelites work harder. But Moses told the people not to give up hope. God will send plagues over Egypt to soften Pharaoh's heart, he whispered. He predicted. The plagues did not frighten Nachshon. When God sent frogs, Nachshon caught them in a basket and let his nephews and nieces play with them. When God sent locusts, Nachshon picked each and every insect off the few vegetables in his family garden. When God made the land pitch black with light only in Israelite homes, Nachshon ventured outside to check on his neighbors. Finally, Pharaoh gave in. He told Moses to take the Israelites and leave. Nachshon and his family packed quickly, without time even to let their bread rise. The Israelites headed to the Sea of Reeds and camped on its shores. Now, kiddos, that's why we eat matzah, because the Israelites didn't even have time to let their bread rise. They had to leave Egypt so quickly when Pharaoh finally changed his mind. Oh, suddenly in the distance, the Israelites heard a strange noise. First, it sounded like rain, then a large swarm of hornets, then like a herd of gazelles. Nachshon ran to the top of a small cliff and looked in the direction of the noise. It was the sound of chariots. The Egyptians are coming, he cried. The Israelites wept with fear. They were trapped between the advancing Egyptians and the Sea of Reeds. Nachshon knew what he must do. Moses' words echoed in his mind. Real freedom means trusting in God. Real freedom means believing in yourself. Real freedom means facing your fears and overcoming them. Will you say that last part with me again? Real freedom means facing your fears and overcoming them. Nachshon stepped slowly into the sea. The water rose from his toes, to his ankles, to his knees, to his waist, to his shoulders, to his chin, to his lips. Nachshon repeated silently, face your fears, have faith. Face your fears, have faith. Face your fears, have faith. Just as the water was about to cover his head, a miracle occurred. Moses lifted his staff to the heavens, and a strong east wind pushed back the water, creating a dry path through the sea. All the Israelites joined Nachshon and walked with him to freedom. Nachshon believed that God would bring them to freedom. He believed in himself that he could conquer his fears. And he faced his fears. He went into the water even though he was so scared. And a miracle happened. The water parted and the Jewish people were free. All because Nachshon believed and he was brave. When they reached the opposite shore, the Israelites broke into song. But Nachshon simply waded in the sea and let the cool waters remind him that he was free. Free from slavery and free from his fears. Now, Lions, as we go into this weekend, I want to leave you with this. We can all be brave like Nachshon. We can all face our fears and overcome them because we are strong. I believe in you. Do you believe in you? I hope you have a beautiful weekend. A Shabbat Shalom. And remember, real freedom is believing in God. Real freedom is believing in yourself. And real freedom is facing your fears and overcoming them. Shabbat Shalom, Lions.